Welcome to our live for Healthy Wealthy Family. I'm here with Zach Bush. It has been a little while since we've done a live. It's been a little while since Zach and I have even talked. We've had our ordeals with the hurricane coming through and taking power and taking internet out. And then we just had a little baby. She's 3 weeks old as of last night. And so it's been a bit of a whirlwind for us. And I know that you just moved, Zach. You're in a new location. It's very barren behind you.
Yes. Yeah. That was the first thing you noticed is like, hey, are
Yeah.
you somewhere different? You don't have your nice little posters and your little picture up there, but I found my corner of the room now and we'll be putting that stuff up down the road. Like you mentioned, we moved a couple weeks ago, bought the new house, working on selling the old house. So lots of moving parts in that. So yeah, life has been crazy for me, but definitely not as much as you've had to deal with in the last, all different stuff. But yeah, I'm glad that we're back doing this. We have a nice little plan for at least the next 12 weeks. I'm sure we'll continue to extend on based on the conversations that we have and the things that people need help with, and stuff that we're learning too, right? I want this to be we learn something and we provide something, to you guys. So definitely happy to be back. We've kind of touched on this topic in a couple of lives in the past, but I think it's so important that we need to kind of revisit it as we re-kick things off.
Yeah. It's funny, like this couldn't come at a more prudent time for me because as we were talking off camera and kind of mentioned here, it's really been like almost 6 weeks for us and for being out of the groove of things. And now we got to go back and reassess everything and say, okay, our life has changed. The little one's here. We knew this was coming anyway, but like that hurricane threw things off. So going back and reassessing what our goals are and being able to break things down. So this is coming at a perfect time for us. So I know you have a plan here for this, so I'll let you kind of take the lead there. You know how I go.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure you'll jump in and provide any extra insights. But yeah, I have a rough idea. I was trying to think goal setting is such a common topic that's talked about, and I talked about how important it is. But I think there's so many different ways to look at it. I wanted to go through and kind of have somewhat of a structure on, all right, how can we tackle this topic? How can we provide the most value in the least amount of time, right? I don't want to drone on and on. You're busy, I'm busy, but I want to make sure that this information gets out there. So I think goal setting, starts with, I like what you said, how you kind of have, it's a reset. We're kind of rejoining in. I think it's important to be able to do that, not focus on what you failed on in the past or what maybe you were in the middle of that you're not sure about. Like, I think it's important to kind of do that gut check, and that the whole goal setting process starts with kind of that self-assessment on where you're at, where you've been, and then where you want to go. So, a couple of questions I like to consider is, like, what does success look like for you? Like, what are you trying to work towards, right? And that, in our Facebook group, the Healthy Wealthy Family, it's kind of structured based on like 3 areas of your life: your business / your health or / your wealth, your health and fitness, your nutrition, and then the family side, right? I know family's number one for you. It's number one for me as well, especially, young kids, toddlers, newborns, like those 3 areas are super important. So what does being successful in each one of those areas look like for me? And that's going to be largely different from person to person, right? Like, I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day about building a business, and he was talking about how he's in the same position we are, where he's, his newborn, his wife's pregnant now, so it's like another baby on the way. They've built this business, but they're not looking to scale it up any longer. They're looking to make family their priority and let the business kind of maintain, service the business, provide their employees what they need. But like, hey, we don't care about that right now. Right now, our focus is family. Once that gets into a good spot, we're happy with how we balance that. All right, maybe now we can scale it. So I think it's just, what does success look like for you in each one of those areas, right? I talk about the 3 areas, that our Facebook group specifically focuses on, but it can be a ton of different areas. And I'll talk about, the wheel of life later and kind of grading yourself in more than just those three areas. But I think that's super important, is what's success look like for you? And then going into a little bit further, what do you want to achieve within each one of those?
Yeah. I like that you mentioned there that it, the example of your friends and how it changes over time, right? There are seasons of life and there's seasons of business and all these things. And so being able to reevaluate, we typically do things on a quarterly basis where we're going back and saying, okay, what does the quarter look like? We still have our 3, 5, 10-year goals in mind, and even those might change over time. Like, yeah, we wanted this, mansion in the hills, and that's not that important to us anymore, right? And so, um, you know, understanding that life ebbs and flows and being able to take stock and things and go, yeah, you know what, growing the business isn't as important right now. We can kind of put it on autopilot and focus on hanging out with our kids, and getting that time back. So, um, I've mentioned it and you mentioned it there. Like, family's number one for me. I don't see that ever changing. Businesses and growing our wealth is a second, a close second, but family comes first. So, not to feel like I derailed a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, and the business provides for the family, right? So it's
Right.
like by working on the business, you're also, working on the family portion of it too, just like your health, right? I'm working on my health. I'm not worried about maxing out my lifts. I'm not worried about competing at a higher level like I was 10 years ago in my 20s. I am focused on just maintaining where I'm at with that, because I want to have the ability to play sports with my kids as they grow up and be active with them without having to worry about, not being able to run for that long or anything. So it's, like I said, it's that priorities. It's like they feed into each other. I got to take care of myself to be able to take care of the family. I have to be able to make money to be able to take care of the family, enjoy that time with the family. So
Yeah.
they all feed into each other, which is why those are the three focuses within our group, that we have.
Yeah.
So taking that assessment, that overall high look on, that introspection on where you are and maybe where you want to go, it allows you to get into that big picture, seeing everything from that 30,000-foot view, and starting to look, okay, how can we break this into smaller components that don't take this like super far off, super demotivating big goal, where it's like, I don't know if I can do that, to like, what smaller things can I start implementing right now that will get me to that end goal? And just kind of, again, reflecting what worked in the past to get me to a goal and how can I kind of replicate that. So breaking it into those smaller goals will give you little checkpoints to go and look along the way of, okay, I hit that. That means I'm on track, right? I mean, it's the real goal is the end result, is what we've talked about. Like, that's what's going to happen. And the goals are really those intermediate, smaller actions that are going to get us there, right? If you
Yeah.
think about, I'm flying a plane from, I'm located in the Philly area, from Philly to San Francisco, right? I know my end result is San Francisco, but I need to be able to check at certain points along that journey to make sure that the plane is going in the right direction. Because if I'm 1 degree off and I maintain that 1 degree off, I'm going to end up in Washington State. And
Yeah.
it's going to be like way different, right? So just doing those check-ins along the way. And that's what, going from that big overview to those smaller, actionable mini goals, mini steps, that's what's going to help get you there. It's going to help provide you motivation because you're going to be hitting those little steps, but it's also going to be a recheck-in point where it's like, okay, this is working. Awesome. Let's keep doing this. I'm seeing results. Or this isn't working. What do I need to tweak? What do I need to do to kind of course correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to get off where you're headed too much, but like, I like to go back to the fitness side of things, because it's what people can wrap our heads around the most. And like, I want to go run a marathon in 6 months or whatever. I don't start with running 26.2 miles, is that right? 26. Or is that kilometers? Whatever.
26.2.
Yeah, you don't just go like, "Hey, I'm going to go start running 26 miles." No, you start with, especially if you've never, if you haven't run before and you're not a runner, like, you start with baby steps. Can I go walk a quarter of a mile? Can I walk a mile? Okay, now can I run a quarter of a mile? Can I run a mile? And slowly building up to that, 26.2 miles. Right? 26.2. You said that.
26.2. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
okay. Yeah. So, you know, being able to break that huge goal down. I want to buy 50 houses. Well, you don't start with like, oh, I'm going to go buy a portfolio of 50 houses. I guess you could, but you start with the little things. Well, how do I even freaking buy a house? Like, you know, actionable steps. And like you said, it makes it less daunting because, oh, I don't have to go run 26.2 miles. I just need to go walk a mile today. That's my first thing that's my first milestone that I need to hit. So, yeah. I just
Yeah.
feel like I need to talk sometimes.
No, I want to give you the opportunity to talk for
Yeah.
sure. No one wants to just hear my perspective, hear me
Yeah.
drone on. I certainly don't want to hear myself talk forever. So,
I like it. I do. Yeah.
um, so you know, we're talking about like, okay, how can we start implementing this, right? How can we start kind of thinking about, well, what goals do I want to work on, or what intermediate steps do I want to work on? And I alluded to it earlier in, that wheel of life. Like, what areas in my life do I feel like I'm already successful in? And so that wheel, and what we'll do is I'll post it in the Healthy Wealthy Family Facebook group. So if you're not already in that group, feel free to search it, or we can include a link into like the YouTube description as well, kind of linking you to that. So I'll put that in there, and that's kind of one of the action items I want to leave for you guys today, and we'll revisit it at the end. But is that wheel of life? It's just that activity of, all right, look at each one of these areas in this wheel, and you get to rate yourself from 1 to 10. And it's not how successful you are at it. Like, if you've got millions of dollars a month coming in, like the wealth section doesn't necessarily give you a 10. It's more your level of satisfaction in that area of life. Like, it's like, hey, I got 10 grand a month passive coming in, but I want 100 grand a month. Like, maybe it's a 5 or a 6, right? Like, hey, you got a lot coming in, but you're not at your goal yet. And it's just, again, a self-reflective thing, and it's a visual representation because you shade it in, so you can kind of see those high ranking areas and those low ranking areas. And so that will give you a good starting point of, what do I want to work on? What area in my life do I want to work on? And again, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to start at the lowest rating area of your life. It could be the most important and one that's going to make the most impact to you. So, we'll go back to the health and fitness, like the marathon example. Like, hey, my, fitness level is at a 6. Like, I go to the gym, 3 days a week, just do some lifting, but I do want to get into running. I want to start running a marathon. And that's like my big goal for this year, coming up to the end of the year. Like, how can I take this? And like, my big goal next year is run a marathon. So you can say, like, that's the first thing that I want to start with. And really just focusing on that one, coming up with a plan. What time commitments am I willing to make for that? Is it a half an hour a day for 5 days a week? Like, really coming up with that plan that you can hit, and being consistent with that for a month, 2 months, 3 months before we start adding in too many other areas in our life. I would say, a month of consistently saying, if you say you're going to run 3 days a week, do it for a month. You should have that habit pretty locked down at that point. Now we can look at another area in our life. Let's add in that one.
Yeah.
So that's my recommendation. Again, wheel of life, be honest with yourself, and then pick one thing from 3 different categories, and then pick the first one, the one that's going to make the most impact, or the one that's going to be most meaningful to you, to tackle that first, and come up with a plan. What's the time commitment? How many times a week am I going to do this?
Yeah. I like the wheel of life. Once you see it, it gives you a good visual representation. For those who haven't seen it yet, I believe it's Arnold Schwarzenegger. He would like look himself in the mirror. He would do all his poses, and he would go, "Okay, chest is where I want to focus on." And for 4 to 6 weeks, it doesn't mean that he wasn't doing all the other things, but he was just like, "This is my goal. I want to grow my chest." And then once he got his chest to a place, he would still keep doing his chest, but now he's like, I want to grow my biceps. My biceps aren't where I want. So that would be his one singular focus for the next, time period, whatever that time period is. So knowing that, I'm not feeling the best in my spirituality right now, my walk, my faith or whatever you believe in, I want to grow it. It doesn't mean that the other areas of your life are just going to get thrown to the wayside and you're not going to go work or you're not going to do, exercise anymore. But this is where my mind is kind of focused on, and that's where the goals are. So that way it doesn't get overwhelming. There's only so many hours in the day, and us with, when you have a W-2 and you have a side hustle or a business that you're running on, and you're a husband, you're a father, or a wife and a mother, like it all comes, and it can all get overwhelming if you're not just being very choosy with the things that you want to kind of focus on. So the wheel of life is an amazing little thing.
Yeah, for sure. And again, it comes back to like, the overall view of, why am I doing this? What is
Yeah,
my motivation? Asking yourself why. Like, okay, I want to run a marathon. All right, why do I want to run a marathon? Right? Okay, I want to prove to myself that I can do something challenging. Okay, why do I want to do that? I want to be a good role model for my kids and my wife. And so like digging into that, like, and writing that down is super important. Like whenever I go through like coaching clients, like, hey, I want to lose weight. Like, okay, great. Everybody wants to lose weight. Everybody would love to have a six pack. Like, why do you want to do that? Because when things inevitably get hard, you want to be able to remember what that why is, and that will
yeah,
help you push through it. But it'll also tell you how much you're willing to commit to it, right? Like anybody can get a six pack and, be ripped, but are you willing to sacrifice the time, sacrifice the energy to do all the meal prep and say no to the pizza and the desserts that come up through the holidays? Like, and that's fine. Like that's totally cool. But remembering the why is going to get you through those inevitable plateaus, those tough days. So that's why you start with, what we talked about at the beginning of like that big picture and digging into that. And then that will help through those tough times that eventually come through, because that motivation is not always there. Sometimes it's just
right.
got to be discipline.
Yeah, yeah. I think I talked about this on my Instagram yesterday. That this is going back a few months when we were first starting this journey together, that I set a goal of like by the end of the year I want to do 20 pull-ups, and I even mentioned it when I was setting the goal with you. It was like I don't really care that much, but I needed I just wanted to set a fitness goal, and sure enough, when the hurricane happened and like things got in the way, like that got thrown out because I didn't really have a why. It wasn't that important to me, and so going and doing pull-ups when I needed to make sure that there was fuel in the generator or whatever the case may be, like that just got tossed out. So yeah, making sure that you have a solid why, because when things get tough, that's what you got to fall back on. Like, hey, I got to make sure that I eat right today because my six pack's not coming in the way it will. Well, if I don't really care about the six pack that much and there's a box of Oreos right there, or choose your treat, like I'm gonna go for the box of Oreos. So yeah.
100%. And it's sometimes it's like it's hard because it's like I want to do all of these things, but I don't know how to choose. I don't know which one to choose. Like whatever. Sometimes it's better just to choose something than what you choose, right? So if you pick something, do it for a month, right? And do it because you want to do it, not because, Nathaniel says he wants to get 20 pull-ups in a day, by the end of the year. That doesn't mean that you need to do that too, right? It needs to be
Right.
something that you want to do. But if you're not sure, you can copy somebody, but you need to have that reflection time of, is this really what I want to do? Is it worth sacrificing my time to go out of my way to do this? And if not, okay, cool. Like that's totally fine. Readjust, right? Recourse correct. That's okay. If you're going from no activity and you want to start some activity, maybe you start with running and you get a month into it and you're like, I hate running. Like to the
Yeah.
point of like, I almost don't do it every time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try going to Planet Fitness. Let's go to Orange Theory Fitness. Let's go to CrossFit. Like try something else. Like it's okay if you quote unquote fail at running. It's okay if you want to enjoy it. So, I think coming back to like what you said, like, hey, it just wasn't that important to me. Like I just started it, I did it, I stuck with it for a while, and then other stuff came up and it wasn't a priority anymore. Totally cool. But I think it's important you were tracking that and then you realize the fall off and you're like, that's fine. Like maybe I'll just pick something else.
It you mentioned something there very quickly that I think is important, is that commit to a specific amount of time before you're going to make a decision on whether you want to keep going or not, right? If you just go, I'm gonna try running, and then the first time you go out, you're like, I hate this. Well, you can just do that with everything. So if you say,
Mhm.
I'm going to give this 4 weeks, or even if it's just like 2 weeks, I'm going to go run 3 times a week for 2 weeks and see and reassess after 2 weeks. At least you've given yourself a chance to like, get through the hurdle of, man, it sucks the first time. It's hard because I've never done this before, right? I can equate this a lot to real estate. Like this is what I've been doing for years now, and I see a lot of people come into real estate and go, I'm going to wholesale and I'm going to go direct to seller, and then they get cussed out by a seller and they're like, I don't want to do that. I'm going to do direct agent. And you never give yourself a chance to like really build a habit up, really kind of learn some new skills. So by committing to, 4 weeks, I like that 4 week mark at least. 2 weeks isn't quite enough, but by committing to a specific amount of time, you're allowing yourself to get over those little hurdles and the challenges of getting started into something fresh and new. So like, yeah, stick with it for at least 4 weeks before you make a decision like, I don't want to do this anymore, because you will learn some stuff over time and you're going to find out like, yeah, this is, that first time wasn't so bad. The second time it got a little bit easier, and it's going to get a little bit easier. And then you can decide, nah, running's not for me. Maybe Planet Fitness or maybe CrossFit, and stick to that for 4 weeks. Try that again. So yeah, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I think I'm glad you reiterated that, because that you're right. That is super important. Like, things are always hard in the beginning, and I forget what the exact quote is like, it's on, joy is on the other side of pain or something like that, or improvements on the other side of pain. I don't know the exact quote, but like, that's what it is. Something new is always going to be uncomfortable. It's always going to be a challenge. So, and by setting these goals, it's more than likely something new. Otherwise, you'd already have accomplished it. Like, it wouldn't be a goal because you've already done it. So like, whatever you choose isn't going to be easy. Like you mentioned, getting into real estate, like, yeah, that's hard. And if you wholesale for a month and you're calling sellers for a month and you go, this sucks. Okay, maybe it is time to move on. I know I did that. I know you did that too. I mean, I don't think you hated calling sellers, but like the wholesaling aspect of it, it didn't fit your end goal or your end result that you were looking for, right? Which is that long-term wealth, passive income, all that fun stuff. But some people love wholesaling. It's like that active income. It's their business. Like, cool. Like, it's just based on personality and life stages we talked about earlier too. It's like all comes back to that. Like, where are you and where do you want to go?
Yeah. You don't want to just be jumping from thing to thing because the first time you tried something sucked. Right. Like I said, it's not allowing you to build up the habit and to build up the skill and to learn new things about yourself and the process along the way. So yeah, beating a dead horse there, but yeah.
Yeah. So just kind of like round out the conversation. We talked about, we're going to put in the Wheel of Life in the Facebook group. So definitely do that. We would love to see anybody posting in our Healthy Wealthy Family group, tag us when you do it. The picture of it or the screenshot of it. I'll do mine tonight and I'll post it, when I'm done. And then on top of that, pick 3 categories and pick one thing that you want to work on over the next 12 weeks in each category. And then we can go from there and talk about like, all right, what's your plan to like hit that first thing? Like, all right, what are you going to do? How often are you going to do it? Trying to be realistic with it. But once you have those posted in the group, and then what you can do is we can start tracking it. And in the show notes, we'll include that tracker that we discussed in a live a month or 2 ago. At this point, you'll put your information in, you'll send out, it'll send out a link to get it downloaded, and it'll just be put it in. Hey, like if it's one item, awesome. How many days a week can you do it? And then you just check it off. It gives you the percentages and you go from there. So we want to, create a realistic goal based on our values from the Wheel of Life. We want to track it. So that way we know, okay, am I not hitting this goal because I'm not doing the things that I need to do? Or am I making progress because, okay, cool, I hit 80, 90, 100% of what I said I was going to do. So now that we can track it, it'll hold us accountable, but we can have some data on why or why not or we hit these goals.
Yeah.
And then accountability is always a big thing. And that's what the Facebook group's there for too. Like, we can see your goals. We're going to follow up. We're going to hold you accountable. If you're struggling with it, like, let us know. Like, how can we support you guys? We have some stuff in the works, some plans that we want to kind of create a better space to hold you accountable and to give you better information and more information. So stay tuned in for that little teaser. But I think those are the main action items and the main things that we want to focus on when it comes to goal setting.
Yeah, before we hop off here, we didn't talk about this go around, and for anybody that's watching now, I want to make sure that we're hitting SMART goals. The first step for goal setting is picking something that's important to you, right? We talked about that. If it's not important to you, when it gets difficult, you're just gonna leave it to the wayside. It doesn't matter that much to you. The second step is creating goals that are SMART. They're specific, they're measurable, they're actionable, they're Oh shoot, I lost my
Realistic.
yeah, realistic and they're set on a time scale. So like I don't just want to say I want to lose weight. I want to be specific about it. How much weight do I want to lose? Okay, how am I going to measure that I'm losing weight? I chose this weight because it's easy and you can just step on a scale, right? What levers can I pull? What actions can I take that are going to get me the results of the weight that I want to lose? Is it realistic to lose the specific amount of weight that I want to lose in a specific amount of time? I don't like so using the weight one, I would say I want to lose 10 pounds by the end of the month, whatever your timetable is. Because if you just say I want to lose 10 pounds, well, that you giving yourself an infinite amount of time, you're not going to take actionable steps every single day to do it. If you say I want to lose 10 pounds in a year, that's too far along, right? If you say I want to lose 10 pounds by tomorrow, that's not enough time. So it has to be a realistic amount for the specific timetable. Now, if you want to get a little bit more detailed into the SMART goals, I know I would be open to chatting with people one on one about it. I don't want to speak for Zach because Zach's a busy dude himself, but this is a passion for us, so I would imagine Zach would be open to doing so as well. We want to just help as many people, achieve what we're achieving. I feel like we're winning. I want everybody to win together. You guys are all my brothers and sisters in this, and so let's all win together. That being said, I should just shush now and let Zach finish this thing off.
No, yeah, that's perfect. And yes, I mean, I'm down to have conversations and work through any of this stuff with anybody. I mean, I do it with nutrition clients for sure, especially when it's focused on nutrition. So happy to work through some of the challenges because I know it's not always clear in your own head. You need a third party to be like, oh, this is very obvious on what you need help with. So yeah, I think you kind of summarized everything really nicely with the SMART goals. I mean, that's the gold standard of setting goals. So
Yeah.
Yeah, to wrap it up, post your reel of life, post the three areas you want to work on, the three things you want to work on. Let us know what it is, and we will help you work through it. If you need any help with those or creating a plan, let us know, and we will be more than happy to jump on a call and figure things out. Like Nathaniel said, we want to support you in your goals and hold you accountable and just see how we can improve your life in any way. I mean, that's
Yeah.
the best part about doing this.
Yeah. To wrap, if you're on my channel and you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Like this video so we can get it in front of more people. If you're on Zach's channel, do the same thing, and then go to the other persons and do this. Yeah. Oh, make sure you join the Facebook group, the Healthy Wealthy Family Facebook group. It's going to be the place that we're posting all our content and talking and keeping each other accountable, at least for the time being. You should be able to find that in the show notes in the YouTube description here. If not, you can search my name on Facebook. You can search Zach's name on Facebook. I'm almost certain I'm the only Nathaniel Hovsepian, but it'll be a picture of me. It'll be a picture of Zach, and we can get you to the right spot to be there. It's a pleasure being back with you, Zach. I'm glad to have power back. I'm glad to have internet back. I'm glad that the little one is currently sleeping with Brittany, and to be back here chatting with you. I've missed this, and I want to be able to provide value to people. That's what I've been really missing. So, that being said, anything signing off for you?
No, I mean, the last thing is not only follow us and subscribe to us, but if you know somebody who can benefit from this, send it over their way too, or send them over our way. Like we want to help as many people as possible. So
Yeah.
that's all I have. And yeah, again, I appreciate you. I'm happy that everything is back and good in your world. And I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing the pictures back behind you next time.
That'll be the goal this week. That's my goal this week.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's right. Until next week. Later, y'all.
See you, man.
Oh, interesting. Oh, wait.
Is it paused? Did you stop it?
I did, but it's